40.
39.
Number 1.
39.
38.
37.
36.
35.
34.
33.
32.
31.
30. 29.
28.
27.
26.
25.
24.
23.
21.
20.
19.
18.
17. 16.
15.
14.
13.
12.
11.
10.
9. 8.
7. 6.
5.
4.
3.5.
3.
2.
1.
Hey, Rocky, you want to see me pull a show out of my hat? Nothing up my sleeve. Presto!
Welcome to the Tuesday, June 18th, 2024 edition of the Mouthwash Show, where the inmates finally get to run the asylum. John will not be hosting this evening. I will. So I am your wonderful host, Lucy Brenton, with all kinds of political aspirations and no real money behind them because I'm a libertarian. So tonight we're actually going to be grilling John, who you normally see as our host, John Schmitz, because he's running for Congress. And I gotta admit, I've got some misgivings. I mean, he's one of these Republican types. So we're going to have to ask him some pretty tough questions this evening. So I'm going to ask my intrepid engineer to bring on first John Schmitz. John, will you appear?
Yeah, this is sort of odd. Me
There
being
you
on
are.
my own show.
Yeah, welcome to your own show, John Schmitz, where you get to get grilled by me this evening, and there's nobody to hold me back. So you'll have to forgive me if I'm in full libertarian mode this evening.
Yeah, that's
Um,
okay. I'm a little libertarian myself. I don't want people taking my stuff, and if you're not hurting somebody else, then have at it. So I think
well,
we
I
get
do have
along.
to ask, I do have to ask the first question first before I launch into the interview, and that is taxation theft?
It is theft, and trust me, I've been paying a lot of theft lately, and it just keeps
Yes.
getting worse. So yeah, it's
As a fellow business owner, my heart goes out to you and to all the entrepreneurs out there because the fact of the matter is we create jobs. We have to think and plan and allocate capital and go and, just really take a lot of big risks to create the jobs that other people take. And the more money that's stolen from us in taxes, the fewer jobs that are created and the less benefit to society. So, with that being said, John, there are some people, I'm sure there might be some people that have never heard of you before and are seeing Mouthwash for the first time. So, please give me your bona fides. Who are you and why did you decide to run for Congress?
well, as you saw on the interview there, it was Jen Pace. Jen Pace had signed up to run. Unfortunately, passed away of a heart attack in March and was on the ballot and still won. So, I'd done some work with Jen. I've done some interviews, an interview with her when she ran in 22. We actually did her memorial service here at our art center. And she's actually been to the house and she signed the same wall you've signed at our house. Now, I do have a bone to pick with her because she made a little heart and put Lisa and John on there and then signed her name. I'm like, wait a second, this is the John and Lisa show. What's up with that? So that's the why. I feel like someone that knows her needs to carry on her legacy of running. And also this is an opportunity to get out there and give somebody in Indianapolis a hard time that's not doing the job here. So my claim to fame, I guess, my rap sheet is I'm a business owner, have owned a masonry company for like 34 years. I'm on the KG board, Community Action of Greater Indianapolis. We are doing affordable housing and we help elderly with their heating concerns and their winterization. I've been on that for about a year. I've been a realtor. I'm a licensed minister. And me and my wife started an art center here in Mars Hill, underserved neighborhood, like 10 years ago. which did kind of sort of catapult me into politics because the city just ran over us. And instead of complaining, I said, I'm going to do something. I'm going to get in politics. So about 6 years ago, I decided to start running for stuff. And boy, I tell you what, I got a crash course in it. I tried to throw me in jail and sheriffs follow me and all these good things. It's so much fun. But one thing that people know about me, I don't quit and I work hard. So that's just some of the things that we've been doing. And it's been good. We end up moving to Mars Hill as well. So, we're in it. We are. If somebody says, do you live in the district? I live in the district. I mean, I'm in it. So,
Right.
So there you go. That's the short answer of some of the things that I do. And I founded the Mouthwash Talk Show, and this is our 177th episode. I know it. It's like, that's 3 something years.
And you have done me the kindness of still not having kicked me off. So maybe I better keep, my P's and Q's and
You're
mind
a
those.
staple on here. I mean, we hated it. We've had some people come and go. We miss Ed. We miss our people.
I do miss
But
it.
we do
But
like.
Brad's awesome.
Oh yeah, he's our lovable Democrat. That's what you have to have that. So, and Tiffany's a lovable Republican. So
I'm curious. I have to work in the fact that the libertarians, we choose our candidates in a private convention, which is not paid for by taxpayer dollars. Very different from what the Republicans and Democrats do because they have their hands in the taxpayers' pockets in order to make this happen. And rest in peace, Jen. This is an unprecedented situation. It's not the first time that it happened. John, can you educate me? What is the process for you winning? Where is the path for you winning? And how do you actually get appointed or elected to this seat?
okay,
So,
well,
so you're in the general election.
yeah. Well, first of all, we have to have a caucus. So after the election was finalized, the party leaders, they get together and they have 30 days to fill this spot. They have to give some notice for everybody to get to it. Now, this said caucus is this Saturday, June 22nd at 12 noon. Now, what this is going to entail is there's precinct committee people that are elected in this district. Now, there's about 400 openings in this district, and we have 157 eligible precinct committeemen that were elected. That's sort of sad in one sense with our party. How do we win when we have over 200 empty seats that we have no one in that precinct? So they get to come together, they get a vote, and we had this thing last weekend, the state convention, which is what you have to elect all of your people. And we just elected the AG and the lieutenant governor. Now this is.
Congratulations, Micah.
Yeah, that Micah's been on our show, and that's one of the things that coming on our show isn't the kiss of death. It's how you handle yourself on this show, because getting through Lucy, you took down one of our people there for with some questioning. Hey, but you got to answer and you got to stay consistent, or people will do that. So that's what's going to happen this Saturday. It's fortunate that one of the other reasons that I didn't run in the for the primary is because we were working on this precinct committee man thing. So we were able to recruit out of that 157, 158 we were able to recruit 80 to 90 of those people to get involved in the party. So obviously we didn't know that this was going to happen when we were doing that. But then when Jen actually won, I mean, that hadn't happened since like 1972. I think it's unprecedented, really. It was like, okay, who's going to do this? Now, part of the problem is, the person you're going against it was the last race was 70% for him and 30% for the Republicans. So it's a little uphill battle. It's an uphill battle. But what I told our precinct committee people, I says, we need to have exciting candidates that are willing to go out and work hard. Even if they're not going to win, we still need to make a good showing. And, in this last election, we had 10 county council seats that no one ran against the Democrat in. And that's pretty easy to win when you got no competition. So that's what it is. And then after that, then we worry about getting to that next guy. But I do have some plans, and hopefully I'll answer some of those questions. I'll work those in to the questions that I'm being asked later. And you do a good job interviewing. So, hats off to you.
Thank you. Well, the good news is, if it had been See, now I'm stumbling over my words because you complimented me and I'm blushing. If it had been a Democratic candidate that had passed away, that wouldn't have been a problem at all because all of their voters are also in that same realm.
Yeah,
So they could have
they would
started
vote in the
on.
same. Ooh, I like it. You're getting a jab in on everybody here.
I'm doing it now while Brad can't retort, but he might agree. He's a pretty special Democrat.
I could see him smiling
Let's
backstage.
go ahead and bring Brad on. Let's bring
let's-
Tiffany on. Let's see if they agree with me.
No,
let's
I
see
made
it.
a face. I made a
Let's
face
see
to
the
that
face.
one, Lucy.
Let's see it. There's Tiffany.
She's just the angel, the light coming
There
down.
she is. There she is. She's been on the
Oh,
love boat.
You're muted,
Yeah.
Tiff. You're muted.
I'm getting ready to hop on my computer. So I apologize. I was doing some craziness. We had our Fisher's concert tonight. It was yacht rock. So I had to dress
Ooh.
appropriately. So you can just kick me off camera right now. Give me 4 minutes and I'll.
All right. Let's do this.
Don't come back without the hat.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we'll
like
see.
the hat. Like this
Yeah,
is
that-
the new conspiracy hat. I mean, was there really a love boat?
No,
You know,
that
is the
needs to be
Bermuda
like
Triangle?
that hat needs to live its life. Don't
yeah,
put it away.
it does. It probably only gets lived once a year, and then here it's going to have a short lifespan. That's not fair.
Now, I will say, to be fair, we should go ahead and play Mark Small right now.
Okay.
That way, Tiffany won't know what we're talking about when we tear it apart.
Okay, that's wow. You Shanghai and Tiffany and me tonight. So let's see here. Let's put on Mark Small. Let's see what he's got to say.
Hi, I'm Mark Small. This is Small Talk. In 1786, 1787, there was some discomfort, some irritation with the way in which government in this country was conducted because there really was no central authority. George Mason and George Washington discussed problems that they're having with commerce on the Potomac River. So the thing that happened was people wanted to have a central government that could do something. When Congress authorized people to get together to make corrections and additions to the Articles of Confederation, it wasn't a wholesale replacement of the Articles according to the resolution. That's what happened. An example of why we need federal authority coming to modern day is something that has to do with like what happens in Indianapolis when we have sports teams that want to build things. We should not subsidize professional sports. Any peer review study that's been done by that, I know people don't like to hear people really intelligent writing things about that, but every peer review study has said the only taxpayers that benefit are the ones that own the professional sports franchises or the athletes themselves. That's why when you're looking at, John was talking about running for U.S. House, I think that's marvelous. What we should do amongst the things that really need to be done, we can feel locally more than anything, is to have, can't do the things that states and municipalities do. If you have the states try to do it, they're just going to try and outbid each other. But the federal government says municipalities and states can't use public monies for billionaires' hobbies. That actually, unless the people who are on the take on the Supreme Court say otherwise, would be able to do a stop to it. Mark Small. Small Talk.
All right. There you go. Tiffany's got her Captain and Tennille hat on with the love boat in the background.
So before we start grilling you, John, I would like to address what Mark Small said.
Oh yeah, me too. Sorry,
Yeah,
go ahead,
good.
Lucy.
I'm going first because I'm a girl. And we
Yeah.
still know that, there's like girls and boys in the world and everything else is just pretend.
Well, no, I'm just the ghost of a Democrat that votes now. So,
Right? Yeah, I don't accept any vote
yeah,
from you
okay.
unless your death certificate is posted concurrently.
Okay.
So anyway, here's the problem that I have with what Mark Small said. And it's not really a problem. It's that I love Mark. He's a good buddy. He's very, very smart. But I think what he should have mentioned in this is the real reason that we went from the Articles of Confederation to the Constitution. A lot of people are not aware that war bonds were created in various states. And obviously very patriotic people bought the war bonds in order to finance the war. Here's the problem. Once the Revolutionary War was over, there was no central authority to enforce those war bonds. So there was no way to collect on them. So they essentially became toilet paper. some very smart rich people behind the scenes went and started buying up those war bonds for pennies on the dollar. Some of them I also suspect to be signers of the Constitution, and they're very close friends and family members because of this reason. Our Constitution is unique in that it guarantees the debts that are incurred. So, in fact, it says in the US Constitution, I'm going to go ahead and read this. Section 4: the validity of the public debt of the United States authorized by law, including debts incurred for payment of pensions and bounties for services in suppressing insurrection or rebellion, shall not be questioned. So we have a situation where war bonds were worthless until the Constitution was signed and there was a central authority to enforce and recognize the validity of those war bonds. So those folks that went out and perhaps even signed the Constitution and advocated for the formation of the Constitution and its ratification were actually advocating for their own paycheck. So those things that they bought for pennies on the dollar were all of a sudden worth face value plus interest. I think he probably should have mentioned that, but I absolutely agree with him on the public sports teams, just like I would agree with, any other company or service or corporation should not be looking to the taxpayers. If their company is amazing and the service they offer is amazing, then people will clamor for it. And if there is no market for their services, they should wither and die. So, John, you're the politician. I would say that we're not clamoring for the services of a politician. So maybe we can go back to some honest work and lay some bricks.
Yeah, I've been doing that honest work for a lot of years.
Yeah,
and I've
But
been paying.
lay some bricks building a new stadium somewhere.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about
No, because
this.
I wanted to talk like Mark. Like I was mad about him because, like, you can't put, a price on like the joy of watching live sports as a sports fan. Like you,
Well, you can.
I think some tickets are absolutely ridiculously dumb, but like, some tickets are cheap. Like I went to an Indians game the other day, and it was like, it was pretty cheap, and it was just nice. It was a great day. It was nice. You can't, how do you equate that in dollars and cents? I guess so.
Well, one of the issues is that if you don't pay in this city, then guess what? Des Moines, Iowa will get your team.
Well, I'm looking forward to going to hockey games in Fishers.
Yeah,
that's
how
they got
it works.
the new arena. Like that's closer for me.
Yeah.
I go to a lot of hockey games. So
well, and there's some other misconceptions that Mark said. He said, "Oh, these billionaires own these stadiums." Well, that isn't true. Jim Irsay doesn't own any part of Lucas Oil Stadium. He rents all of it. The Simons, they are required to take care of the maintenance at Gainbridge Theater, but Gainbridge Fieldhouse, but they don't own it. Now, if we want to talk about a new stadium that Mark can put in this, would be the soccer stadium that they're trying to do. That is a deal that the owner of the Indy 11 wants to own it, and he wants to own all the parking, but yet he wants a bunch of guaranteed loans to do that. Well, that's where we got into some trouble with things. So
see, they can screw off with the parking, by the way. Like, parking's getting a little dumb.
It's getting a lot dumb.
$40 for like an event. You're like, no, this should be like $5.
Well, we should have our car washed. Our car should be washed when we get back to it, at least the very minimum. That's one of the laws
John,
I would.
That is, John, what you have just hit on is an entrepreneurial idea. If I were indeed the owner of a parking lot, then I would say to people, hey, come to my parking lot and, we're going to have my teenagers wash your car while you're in there.
Look at us, already solving problems. I'll take that right to Washington.
USP. But I'd like to observe, Brad, that you said that, it's pretty affordable to go to the Indians game and everything. But you first had, and you're making memories, right? Like priceless memories, especially with your kids. Those memories you really can't put a dollar amount on, except you can. Because if you make, $30 an hour and you have to work for 4 hours to take the family out, then you've had to exchange 5 hours of your life because the government's going to take one of those hours in taxation.
We all got to make choices.
Like,
we all have a cell phone bill. Do we need cell phones? Do we need, do we all need Wi-Fi?
It's going to make our life easier.
No, I just mean there's always choices.
Make my life easier.
There's.
Yeah. So so the price is higher. And I'm not arguing that you shouldn't do that. I'm just observing that once again, the government inserts itself and it steals money from you to build the stadium. And then it steals money from you to be allowed to go to the stadium.
Yeah. And then tax me on the road that I go to the state. Yeah. It's
Well,
You're
and
almost a dang libertarian. Look at the words coming out of your mouth.
I guess you
there's
can't
a
put
lot
that.
of
he is by Lucy. It'll rub off on him, that's for sure.
Well, here's what I got to ask for Tiffany, since she's an elected official and all that. What about the taxes in Fishers? Could you like take the Marion County people and charge them like some sort of immigration tax or use tax? I mean, once they cross 96th Street, all bets are off. You know, you should be taking extra money from them.
So we did add an extra 1% food and beverage tax last year. So
And is that for the benefit
10%.
of Hamilton County or Marion County?
Fishers, City of Fishers.
Oh, so City of Fishers only.
awesome.
I
Yeah.
am so glad I escaped that statism 5 years
So
ago.
so that is the fee for coming, 1% if you dine here. So there we go. But you're
So,
welcome,
so
Brad.
BYOB. All right. That's,
Well, you can't just
So John, let's ask you a question and then have it go around the rounds. What is your least favorite tax that you would attempt to liberate us from once you become a congressman?
Oh, let me count the ways. Right now, the property tax to me is just double taxation, and the inheritance tax. It's very much the same, that whoever had earned that money already paid taxes on it once, and now you got to pay it going out the other end. The thing is, the government's all drunk on all this big money, and not only did they have a lot of money, but they've spent 34.7 trillion that they don't have. So anybody and I'm not naive enough to think that I'm going to go out to Washington and cut this deficit, but this is a monster of a thing. So I would say property taxes, because our home is our castle, and we should not have to lose it to the government.
So
Tiffany.
that's a state issue, which you're going for federal Congress, right? Okay, go ahead, Tiff.
So, John, as you think about the government making revenue, do you see any additional revenue sources we can tap into?
It's what's that song? No, 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 I don't smoke it no more. I'm tired of waking up on the floor. That would be the sin taxes. Think about it. I mean, you're going to consider alcohol, the cigarettes, all that. They get the heck taxed out of them. In Indiana, there's a bunch of people that would like to have marijuana legalized. I see Brad has some a base back there that may be indicating that. But one of Governor Holcomb's excuses was that federally it's not approved. So I would say it needs to get approved federally. And if you recall, Colorado had so much trouble with the money because the banking system can't do it. So they're basically laundering money in Colorado until the FDIC and the banking industry gets under control. So that is one way to generate some funds. And I think that would, that industry is so specialized anymore. I mean, you can get something that makes you sleepy, make you happy, make you whatever. It's not for me. But I think that if it is for someone, they should be able to indulge in that with safe and a taxed product. Sorry, a tax a little bit.
Question number 2, and thank you, Linda, for sharing that gummies got you through chemo. So, John, this is for you. How are you going to beat Andre Carson?
Oh boy, we're going right to that.
Democrat plus 30, and what do they call straight ticket voting? How are you going to be that change that Michael Jackson sang about? Sha-na-na, na-na-na, na.
Well, first of all, I'm going to get some black penny loafers. And that's the first thing to do with Michael Jackson. If you don't have those, you just might as well not even try doing Michael Jackson. I can do the moonwalk. That'll help. But no, and seriously, and I am that. But seriously, so, I'm going to go into places where Republicans probably never have been. I know where I've been to Belmont Beach in Hallville. A couple of times I've done stand up there. I'm going to the local Union 120 tomorrow night, which I do have a company with them. I've not really, gotten that company going, but I'm going to go into the unions and talk about what has the Democrats done for you? What has Andre Carson specifically done for you and your thing? Andre Carson doesn't even know if a set of plans is upside down or right side up. I've been working off of construction projects for a long time. The biggest thing that I really think that is key, sure, you're going out to Washington, you're going to go out to work on federal events, but you can leverage that position here locally to get other officials off their butt to do things. And, one of the things that I've been working on is the floodplain. And hats off to Andre Carson. I've been working with his staff, and I've been trying to get answers on the floodplain. And by gosh, the last bill, he got $1.3 million set aside for our floodplain here in Mars Hill. Unfortunately, it goes in the city, and there it sits. I would be able to go to the city and say, hey, let's get it fixed. They have a $10 million price tag on fixing the floodplain. I could probably fix it for the 1.3. You give me a couple engineers and some weeks, and we could get this fixed. I mean, I live in this neighborhood. I've seen some of the things we could do, and I could do it way less than the 10 years that they're going on right now. So those are the type of things that I look to do that can, be visible. And Andre's got a great staff. I would even say, hey, Andre's staff, if you're listening, I would love to keep you because I liked working with you. We just need to get somebody out there that's going to go out and work, and I will work. I know a lot of people are saying, oh, well, he's just doing this to, for name recognition, whatever. No, I think that anyone that knows me knows that if I'm in this, there's going to be a battle, and I'm going to bring it to him. And I'm not only going to bring it to Andre, but I'm going to bring it to our mayor because he's ignored me long enough. So I'm going to use that as a lever to make things happen in our communities.
How much do you think this election is going to cost you?
Oh my gosh. It needs as much as it can. That's what I'm saying. But the good news is I haven't even made it through the caucus yet. And I'll tell you a story about our friend John Rust that was on our show. So I was on, Rob Kendall did a little interview with me. And after the interview, I hang up the phone and I get a text message from John Rust. He says, hey, what's your address? I'm going to send you a check. I'm like,
oh, yay.
Okay. Yeah. I didn't ask. So I called him the next day. I said, hey, John, thanks a lot for that. I had a chicken question because he got chickens, because I got chickens and my eggs were getting a little thin and all. So I said, oh, thanks, by the way. He said, well, I sent you the max 3,300, but I'm going to put up a billboard for you in town. And then if you got another way, maybe I can get some more money. I'm like, I guess I better go file the paperwork then, because this is becoming reality.
Can I say my new motto?
Yeah, go ahead.
The path to victory goes through the Mouthwash show.
Well, we've certainly ruined some and helped some. So
yes.
I'm a little nervous because, full disclosure, I told these guys to be mean to me. I said, do not give me softball questions. And as you can see, these are questions that are legit. And then also, if there is, I see some questions in the chat there. So Lucia, if you can see those and somebody has one that we want to go.
One thing that I'm kind of piggybacking off of what Yvonne says in there, she's asking what's he done in his district? Has he helped the community? My question is, do we know where Andre Carson lives? Because you live smack dab in the district in an area that, quite frankly, I would not be willing to live in. I'm used to living in Fishers, and when I moved from Fishers, I moved to in between a couple of cornfields. Like, I don't have to lock my doors. I can leave my keys in the car, and you could practically do that in Fishers for sure. You could 10, 15 years ago. So does Andre live in his district, and how is he committed? I mean, your constituents can come knock on your door and they can, grab eggs from your chickens.
Yeah, I hope not. I hope they don't get my chicken eggs in my garden and all my other stuff. But, I do give out different, corn and eggs to people. Well, and that's a great question, Yvonne. I'll give you an example to piggyback off of that floodplain issue. So about 4.5 years ago, there was a gentleman in our district. Actually, he was in the township down below who's downstream from our floodplain. And his house had been getting slowly eroded away by the creek, by this same creek we're talking about. And it was about 3 feet from the next time of taking his house to go down about 20 feet. He had tried to get city officials, state officials, anybody that will listen. This guy's like 75, retired. He was taking a little sled with a rope down the creek, putting the rocks in there, bringing them back and building his own rock wall. Well, it got on the news. And so I said, well, hey, this is what we do. We help people. And this guy was beloved. I mean, Kenny Warden's the greatest guy. He was a rooftop Santa Claus. He would get up on Christmas Eve with his electric guitar and play his electric guitar. Now, Judy won't let him do that anymore, and he makes he was just a very industrious guy. And so we called him up, and Jared Evans, I'm going to give a shout out to Jared Evans, our councilman here. He got us together, and he says, go out with them and tell them that they need to put 5,000 in the thing, and then we'll raise some money for them and we'll get this fixed. Well, we go to the meeting and Jared's not there. And I go, hey, Kenny, we're going to fix this thing and you don't have to pay a dime. And so we had a bake sale, raised $1,500. I had JJ's at Brothers Auto Parts down on Kitley, giving him a free plug because he's a Jared guy, gave $1,000. I had Joe Fox from Marlin Crane, donated the equipment. K&K Trucking donated the trucking. Dale Staggs donated the topsoil. The only thing we paid for was the limestone. We put 150 tons of riprap limestone in there, and that was $2,100. And then we had $200 for landscaping and put it all back. And if you want to see that story, look up RTV6. They did a story on it, and it would have been November of 19 or 18, maybe 18. 18. And you can check it out. And he was to tears about getting this done because he was at his wit's end with this going to take his house down. So that's just one of the examples that we do here. And then also the art center. We have 2 recovery groups that meet there. We have a recovery church and another church that's temporarily there from it's an African church that's waiting on their building to get done. We have we have a lot of rentals for birthday parties and for other things. So we are serving the community with that art center. So it's like, and I would love to get it out of the floodplain, by the way, anybody listening. But we just do a lot of things to help people. And obviously I've helped a lot of people with permitting because they know I'm the permit king, and they say, if John can't get that permit, nobody can. But that's what this is about. This is about service to our community. And back to your question, Lucy, I know that was a long way to get to the question. Where does Andre Carson live? I think he's by Carmen, San Diego. That's where I think he lives, by Carmen, San Diego. And I heard that he lives in Washington, D.C. I've never seen him one time in Marcel. I've never seen him in Drexel Gardens. I've never seen him in Stringtown. I've never seen him in, he might have gone to Hallville. I mean, it might have gone there, but I've not seen him here present. So anyway, that was my long answer.
Well, when I ran against the the former governor, Evan Bayh of our fair state, he did have his supposedly valid residence here in Indiana that had the $8 a month electric bill in a bad neighborhood. And I think it was like, a 600 or 900 square foot condo that had an assessed value of $50,000, while he had, a couple of multi-million-dollar houses in 2 adjacent neighborhoods in Washington, D.C.
Yeah, I just remember as a kid, my mom was not a big Birch Bayh fan. So maybe that's why I ended up being Republican. They brainwashed me, but
Yep. Yeah. So anyway, I just didn't know if he actually lives here. My understanding, and somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, I've never run for Congress before, but my understanding is that you don't have to live in your district, but you do have to live in the state. Because I think that carpetbagger guy, if anybody remembers Trey or whatever his name is.
Hollingsworth.
That's it. Trey Hollingsworth. Yes, thank you. I don't believe that he actually lived in his district either.
Yeah, no, there's several. And there's some in this one that just have houses in this caucus. The one does not live here. In fact, they ran in the 8th congressional district. Out of 8 people, got 7th. But see the opportunity here for this, and it is an opportunity for anybody to do this. I mean, it's a sprint. I mean, we had one guy just sign up yesterday. He's got 4 days to call everybody and try to get them lined up. But I mean, it's a sprint, and I was a sprinter in college, so that's what I do. I sprint.
Who else is in the race with you?
So we have Kat Ping, who actually ran in the primary, but she did not win that. We have Jim Case. He ran in the 8th and got 7th out of 8. And then we have JD Minier, and he has run against Andre Carson. Kat and JD have run against Andre Carson in the past and not won. So that is so far. Now, if anybody out there, Tiffany, you could even sign up tomorrow. If you get in there by noon tomorrow, this is Wednesday, noon Wednesday, you can get in there and you can.
You think I should hop in? Should I hop in?
Come on, let's see. I hate to be beaten by a woman again, like 3 times in 1 year, but go ahead.
Men love to get beat by women.
Yeah.
I hear they pay for that.
Yeah. Well, only in Congress, so hopefully I can dodge that.
I mean, honestly, though, John, it really seems like you're the obvious choice. And I'm not saying that just because we're friends and we're on the show and everything. When you look at who else is running, I mean, who has a commitment to the district and the people. And I'm going to say something, and you can all come at me with some hate later. But this is a very fond memory of mine from the 90s when I was involved in the Patriot movement and the militia movement, as it was in the 90s before it got infiltrated by agents. And Dorn and I exited because there were agile provocateurs that had infiltrated the group and were trying to get people to do stupid stuff. So we just faded into the background. Um, but while we were there, we had a very interesting, smart man named J.J. Johnson. He actually appeared on the Phil Donahue show. He was from Ohio, and so Phil Donahue invited him on and intended to roast him up one side and down the other. What Phil didn't know is that J.J. is a black man, and
Oh,
Phil had assumed that he was a white man. And so it was a really great show just because Phil was so surprised. JJ came and talked to us. And one of the things that he said, and I think that this speaks to one reason why you would be, excellent in this position, is JJ took us to task and he said, look, I'm looking at a sea of mostly white faces, here in this movement. And he said, where are the black faces? Where are the people that are going and helping to really um, secure the rights of black men to own guns? Why are you not in those neighborhoods? He said, if you're saying you're going to take on the entire U.S. government, but yet you won't go into black neighborhoods and form alliances with people because you're scared. So
Wow.
until you have enough courage to lock arms with your fellow citizens who really have the most need for secure gun rights because of the neighborhoods they live in, he said, I just really can't believe that you're serious about protecting this country.
yeah, let me give you an example of what you just talked about that happened. I know that everybody remembers George Floyd, but here in Indianapolis we had a Drajon Reed. He was actually had a live Facebook chase, was brutally shot to death by the police. The family everyone demanded an investigation, and it didn't happen, and people got upset. And there was actually a rally downtown at the city county building. They wanted the mayor to come down and talk to them. And I was there. I was like there right front and center at this rally and to see what was it about. And this was 31 days before the George Floyd incident. So all the mayor had to do was come down the elevator, come out and address these people and me and tell us what was going on. But they didn't. These folks marched out to 62nd in Michigan, set up camp, camped out for about 30 days. And when this thing was fizzling out, then George Floyd happened, and then boom, goes the dynamite. And I asked Neil Diamond, is Joe Hogsett's security guy. I asked him, I said, well, why didn't Joe come down? Oh, it was too dangerous. We afraid somebody had, it was too dangerous. So there you go, Lucy. That's exactly what you were talking about. You have to be able to be down in the pit with the people to see what they're going for. And that's the neighborhood I live in. I live in a neighborhood 10 years ago. It was pretty rough. Property values were terrible, which now my neighbors probably hate me because now they have to pay tax on all that property value, but it's there. And our neighborhood, it just continues to slowly get better over years. We still have problems. And those are the type of things that I really am passionate about helping our neighbors get better at. So
John, I love that you are of the people, because I think that that's really important because, there's the establishment, there's the engine, there's the people pulling strings and stuff like that. But it's the voters that make a difference. So I think that will serve you well. And I completely agree with everything Lucy said about you being involved in your community. Again, how are we going to win?
yeah, well, we're going to have to go to those places, and we're literally going to have to register voters, and we're going to have to get our voters excited to vote. Like 1 in 6 people are voting.
Well, how many registered Republicans do you have in the district?
We, believe it or not, there's more than you think. There was 100,000 that voted in the last, primaries, because all we can do is get primary information. But I'll tell you, one of the problems, Tiffany, is from 2018 to 2022, we've lost 80,000 voters. That's the difference. And, so And then obviously our population has dropped 45,000 in the last, just recently that we've lost people. And, unfortunately, a lot of those folks it's a lot of people. Yeah, it's a lot of people. And unfortunately,
not to be Captain Obvious, but
it is a lot of people. And we still have the 80,000 voters just got, I'm done. I'm not going to do this. And a lot of that is because we have districts like Andre Carson's that he is safe. He won 70-30 last time. And I know that this is a tough battle. But if we don't put somebody up that's going to make that a battle, then it's going to be the same thing. So am I optimistic about winning? I do. I think it's going to happen, but I'm sure as heck going to try. So
well, you probably need to study at the Micah Beckwith School of Campaigning. And
well, I do that. I mean, when I ran for the House.
That's right, John. You should proclaim that God has directed you to lead the charge on January the 6th. You should definitely do that. And
I just think you need to stay. Yeah, you need to stay away from a Trump endorsement. Is what you need to do.
Well, and my sign will not go in a yard with. I mean, this may make some people upset, but I know he's not my focus. If Biden's president or if Trump's president, I will deal with them equally in their way. If they're not having a program that's going to help Indiana, guess what? I'm creative enough and witty enough that I will have some words for them. And a lot of times I've never met Biden. I met Reagan once in '79, and that's the only president I ever met. I've not met Trump. I would love to sit down with those guys and see what they're made of. I mean, trust me, anybody that gets all the way to president of the United States, they got to have something going for them. And they got to be an interesting person.
Blackmail, subterfuge, a long list of videos. I do know what Biden is made of.
Like, that's really what it was.
Yeah, exactly. Trump's a celebrity and Biden is made of face masks and diapers.
Well, I think Trump is mostly a promoter. If you talk, promoters tell you that 100,000 people came to our fight when it's maybe 60 or whatever. That's the difference is, Trump will exaggerate the numbers. Biden will flat tell you that I was second in my class and he wasn't even in the class. So there's a different kind of promotion and one of those is lies. I don't know which, but that's
Trump ones are lies. Like,
well,
he is just
politicians, mouths are moving. It's lies. So I do want to get in here and ask something serious because Spiro is trying to keep us on track. John, what are top 4 agenda items that you would like to address while you are in Congress?
Okay, like number 1 is the Constitution, upholding the Constitution, and that was one of Jen Pace's 4 tenets that she really was passionate about. And number 2, parental rights. Our parents need rights. Now, along with those rights,
John, come on.
I'm just saying that's important to me. I didn't say I was going to change any of them. I'm just going to support those. But the other part of that,
what parents' rights need enumerated? Like what needs to be addressed?
Well, I think their ability to know what's going on with their child when they're not in their care, because face it, a lot of people have to take their kid to a child care. I'm not talking about education only. I'm talking about daycare. I'm talking about all that stuff. There needs to be total transparency of what is being presented to your child during that day.
Are daycares going to have to follow these laws?
Brad, what about the kids that are getting bullied? I mean, we've got little kids committing suicide because they're getting bullied and their parents are reaching out to like administrators and nothing's happening. I mean, parents and protecting kids. I mean, protecting kids is more than just caring about where books are. I mean, we've got to make sure they're in safe environments.
Yes. This isn't a bullying thing. I'm not saying.
And parents having no rights at schools to protect them, pull them out, kids being assaulted in schools and people not being held accountable. I mean, school is a place to learn. It's not a place to be ridiculed and bullied and beat up and hurt.
Those are all
I've had some traumas.
And I'm not talking about adding new laws or anything like that. I just think it's important that we lift up parents. And I think on the other side of that is parents need to be responsible for their
Yes.
kids. But to
Yes,
face it,
that's it.
both
Like
parents
they need to be the ones that are training their kids not to bully other kids. Like
right.
how are we turning the victims?
Unfortunately, some
Like,
of those parents are unsuccessful, Brad.
Okay,
Right.
what I'm going to say about this is,
I didn't hear Tiffany. I'm sorry.
basically kids mimic what's going on in society. You look at Netflix right now, how that goes. It's sex, it's revenge,
Then
and
don't
it's
let your
brown
kid
liquor.
watch Netflix.
I know, but I'm just saying, but that is in our culture. And face it, kids
Hey,
can watch anything.
I'm gonna interrupt here for a moment because I want to recognize one of our viewers, Yvonne, who is like putting total fire in the chat, and I want to add to that. She said CPS makes money off of these children, and John, this is something that is a federal issue that you could address. That federal
You think
issue
people get into
is
CPS to like make money?
yeah, actually they do. Let me give you an example. First of all, there is a bounty on each child that is adopted out of the CPS system. So in Georgia, this was a huge scandal in Georgia. They were busy terminating the parental rights of many parents. There was a directive to pull children out of homes and to be very broad in the enforcement so we could pull as many children in as possible. And the money reason behind that is the federal government gave $16,000 to the state for each child that was successfully adopted. The kicker being that that money didn't go to the Department of Child and Protective Services at all. It was not for the benefit of the children. It went into the governor's general welfare fund so he could spend that money as he pleased. And there was an unprecedented number of children. And let's not even, think
Then that
about
needs to be
sexual
redistributed
child
among.
sex trafficking. We had a sitting congresswoman, I'm trying to remember her name, but she was murdered, and she was the one who was exposing the use of CPS as a way to traffic in children. Where do you think a lot of these children come from? I mean, we already know that there are people that are registered, well, they may not be registered, but they're sex offenders that are pulling these children and getting paid by taxpayers to take these children out and traffic them. I mean, this is billions of dollars a year in business. Let's not be naive. CPS makes a lot of money. You may just not see all of it.
Yeah, and I would
They
say
need
that
they need to redistribute that money to have more social workers and have more case workers at a local level like that. And I don't understand how like the parental rights things with schools that does need to be a local level. Like parents need to be involved with their kids' schools. They need to know who their teachers are, like what their principal's name is, like all that stuff. The John, you hit it, like parental responsibilities. I get that they have rights, but they need to recognize responsibilities too.
Well, and I think that on the other hand, our administrators and the people that are in charge of the schools, they need to have parents want to be involved, not have to be involved. And that's that, and I don't know how you do it. You got to be creative and come up with things. It'd be like the library. How do you get people to come in the library and be excited about it?
You don't. But it's there.
Yeah.
Like, you can't. But you can't. Like, I don't like shame people who don't come in or anything like that. So no.
Let's talk about actual documentation of trafficking of children by CPS and how that works. For example, the late author Liam Sheff, who I was proud to be a friend of and who I'd done some editing work for, he wrote a book called Official Stories to Protect Officials. So go get the book. If you've got Kindle Unlimited, last time I checked, it was still free. It's a very short read. It goes through about 13 different conspiracies in 14 chapters or so. One of the things that happened to Liam is he was libeled and slandered by the New York Times because he brought forth and broke the story about how children were grabbed by the state of New York, and this actually ties back to Fauci, believe it or not. So children were grabbed out of the system and put into the system. They ended up in an orphanage in the Bronx, and those children, you don't understand when it's in locus parentis, when the state is now your parent. The state has the ability to make decisions over your child's life, such as whether or not they will be in medical experiments. And the news that Liam broke and the story that he broke is that black box experiments with AZT were being performed on children in orphanages in New York. He had all the documentation, he had the interviews with the nurses. When children were 12, 18 months old and they tried to refuse to swallow the AZT, they were taken for surgery and tubes were put into their body so that this could happen to them.
Were the kids HIV positive?
No, this was to test the safety of AZT. Now, AZT has a black box label, which means one dose can kill you. But remember, just like Fauci did with remdesivir, where he killed so many people in hospitals. I mean, if you got a remdesivir, it was basically a death sentence, along with them popping your lungs, right, for putting you under. But AZT was just like this last time. It was a Fauci experiment because Fauci was the one who had ties to industry.
Mm.
And so, his name keeps coming up over and over again, but he's just the face of evil. There are many more evil men behind him and women. I mean, let's face it. There are people in those orphanages that took those children, and instead of protecting them, I mean, to me, if I'm the person that's the social worker or the employee of that orphanage, and I know that they're using these children as medical experiments and these children are in my care, to me, it's up to me to protect them with my own body and life if necessary, to expose them in every way possible. But the problem is that people accept green rectangles for their soul.
Yeah, people will. It's amazing what someone's integrity is worth. You whatever that thing is, and you do it. I mean, I know people that their integrity is worth stealing a candy bar, but that's a serious issue. And I was on Todd Rokita did have a sex trafficking committee set up, but it sort of fell apart. When we had the movies out about Sound of Freedom and different things. It seemed like it was getting some momentum, but nobody wants to talk about sex trafficking. It's icky. It's a dark shadow, terrible thing. And
I don't think people understand it, and I think it's a really broad term.
Yeah.
that is used with it, and I feel like it needs more of a definition.
They should probably call it child sex slavery, something like that.
Well, because it's very difficult
just
to
children.
understand that this is going on. Like,
yeah, it's and they talk about
it's
slavery.
Like, you're not seeing this. Like, who is being quiet about this? Like, it's hard to believe that people would be quiet about it.
I think so much of it probably happens right in front of us that we don't know. I went to a Gerwick meeting, and they had these two ladies. One was from the FBI, the other was from IMPD, and she works in sex trafficking. And they were telling us stories about how they pick up kids, how they traffic them, young adults, and it's pretty bad. But I guess I think sometimes it's one of those things that people don't want to talk about it until it happens to them. They have a story to share, and it touches and it hits home. I don't think that there's a lot of preventive and proactive conversations about it, which is
there is very little will to actually stop it. I mean, we can use AI to censor people from using words like, I don't even want to say those words, unalive yourself. If you say that, you get censored by Twitter. If you say that you're going to unalive somebody else in a purposeful manner, those kinds of words get censored. But somehow the social media companies can't stop the pedos. I mean, really, they use special symbols. AI can recognize that. There are computer programs that can go out and can sift through all of that and stop it. But the problem is that it's profitable, and people care more about money than they care
Well, it
about.
sounds like an invasion of privacy too. Like, are they going to look at everybody's stuff?
Yeah, well, they already do. I mean, it's the responsibility of the social media company to see what comes through. Now we see that in special circumstances, as the Biden administration was exposed, they were actually directing the social media companies what to post. There are bot farms. I mean, I think about, especially men. My heart goes out to men that are single because it's so hard to find a good woman nowadays, just like it's hard to find a good man. But men are especially targeted because they're lonely. They're looking for somebody to make them sandwiches, and they go on these websites.
Well, I guess that's what I'm doing wrong.
Yeah, you
can't
even make a sandwich, Tiffany.
I'm going to a lot of fish concerts. Like, I'm living my best life right now.
I'm not making enough sandwiches.
It's nice.
But you know what? The problem is the problem is that where is the money in that situation? On the dating sites, they're completely fake profiles, that interact and engage with men and, ask for money. And then, of course, there are scammers on there. So the companies, they are in business the more people that are on the platform and being members. So, of course, they're going to participate in this. There is very little morality left in this world. And, I'm very, very conservative. I know I'm a libertarian. I'm on the more conservative side, although I recognize people's freedom to be absolute idiots and to be liberal. But the fact of the matter is until the fabric of society comes back to a nuclear family and the responsibility of the parents internally, not with any external pressure, not with worrying that somebody is going to do something to them if they don't take care of their kids, that pressure has to come internally to take care of your family. And with that being said, I'm going to quote my friend Larkin Rose. So if you don't already know Larkin Rose, he was the force behind the Jones Plantation movie. If you have not seen the Jones Plantation, you must watch it immediately. Larkin is an OG libertarian, and he had a very, very good message on Father's Day. And his call out was to recognize real fathers and to invite and encourage other people to be real fathers. Specifically, if there is a draft and someone comes to your home to kidnap your child and force them to go point a gun at somebody else who's done nothing to you, it is your responsibility as a father to do whatever is necessary to protect your child.
So point 3 and 4 from John.
I agree.
Okay. All right. Well, this one is, we need to protect our natural resources. I mean, have you gotten, hey, Brad, have you gotten a check from the federal oil land that the government sold? Have you gotten any checks for that? How about you, Lucy?
I don't look at my mail.
Do you? Yeah, I know. Well, don't worry, because it's not there. So, did you ever wonder how did the federal government just claim this land and say, "Hey, we're going to go out and drill in this ocean, and we're going to sell these leases to these oil companies, and we're going to keep that money"? Isn't that sort of this is our country? Shouldn't they be splitting that money up with every person who lives here? So we have a very
dangerous thinking, John. You better.
I know it. I know it. Well, hey, I'm going to promise everybody oil, and that's how I get elected. I'll promise everybody oil.
You have it in Alaska. Money. Everybody gets pipeline money if you're a resident or born there.
Right. Well, I mean,
John, can I ask you about the border though? Because just because,
true.
Not that I have like zero confidence in Congress right now to do anything, just because of infighting. And so when they talk about the border and one side claims to have a border fix, but then, Republicans didn't vote for it because Trump said, don't vote for that. I want to run on, immigration as the issue. Like, would you go along with that? Or if it is truly a good plan, take immigration out of it. Say the Democrats somehow make up a plan. And it sounds good.
So this is, there's something behind that, Brad. I was talking to Rudy Yakum, who he won for Judy, I can't say her last name, Walorski. She passed away in a car accident. And I asked him, I said, how much pressure do you get from inside sources to do this or to do that? Is it less than I think, or less than we think, or more than we think? He says, probably a little bit more than you think. And it depends on the issue. So, you're basically in Congress with 538 other people, 438 or 435 in the House and another 100 in the Senate. So yeah, you're right, Brad. Getting something done is going to be hard. And that's why I fall back on using that leverage more locally than out where the quagmire is. But if it's a good idea, I don't care who has it. The path that I've gotten to this point, I've not relied on yes, man, no, this or that. I've relied on doing what's right. And sometimes it's painful. Trust me, it's painful because there's a group, and you've heard me say it a bunch of times on here. It's a club and you ain't in it. That goes for some of that other stuff. If you don't behave and do what you're supposed to, but it's hard to argue with the good idea. And that's the first step.
That'll probably serve you well with your constituents coming from a deep purple area.
Yeah, it is.
If you're going to work across the aisle, that's probably really great.
And don't get me wrong here. There's a ton of independents that just don't vote because there's just a ton of people that just are not excited to vote. So you talk about how do I get from point A to point B? I'm going to go out and get people excited to vote. I'm creative, and I have receipts for being creative. This show, I made it up, and you crazy people followed me. so I don't know.
You do a lot for the community though. It is, I know it doesn't mean anything coming from a Democrat, but I would vote for you if I were a Republican for this. So but it's because I've seen you, perform in the community and you're passionate about it. And that's really,
Well, and
'cause
this is
admirable,
about
so.
serving and not being served. We see so many
Yeah.
people that get in. There's twofold to this. Is getting elected is one thing, but
Yeah.
when you get elected, what are you going to do? And I actually have Do Something Indy trademarked. That was my original thing. Matthew West, Do Something. We're God's hands and feet. We have to do something in our community, and I've been living that. And my motto is, I'll give you an example. I would go to the grand opening of a bodega here on Martin Luther King Street, and I'm in my work clothes, and they're getting ready for the mayor to come in. And that was when Jim Merritt was running. I went and helped them finish the sod, and they were like, "Really? You're out here helping us do this sod?" And these other guys are up here talking, and that is just a quintessential of what service is about. It's not about, which I'm pretty good at running my mouth, but I can get some things done. So that's, and I have several, like for instance, I want to find out about education. So I went and I substitute taught for 2 years to see what it was really like. And I substituted for friends and people that I knew to help them out because they need a break. Teachers need a break. Go ahead, Tiffany.
So John, so as you talk through this, it's like, I love that you're developing your message to your constituents. I mean, do you see yourself bringing jobs? Do you see yourself finding money so that the police are better trained, be able to recruit? I mean, like, how are you going to message to the probably 40% of the constituents that you need to vote for you? You need 40% of those Democrats to vote for you.
Yeah. Well,
what do they need to hear? How are you going to make their life better? Because infrastructure is good, but it's not really sexy enough.
No, and we could do our infrastructure better. Right now, there's just not enough contractors to get, the government wants to fix everything right now, and they are definitely funded.
What do those people want to hear, though? They want to hear about jobs and roads and safety. I mean, like, what are you going to tell people to vote for you, John?
I think that being present is part of it. I mean, that's a big part of it. But, think about it. We are basically encouragers. You've heard me talk on here about, you get involved with a party, it's discourage and destroy. I want to be encourage and empower. And I want to go out and go to groups and use my energy and my story to get people excited. Because basically we're a representative. We need to get people excited about doing whatever they're doing. And I say we need 3 activities to do in every neighborhood. You go in some of these underserved neighborhoods, Mars Hill would have been one. They had 22 churches, but they didn't really have any activity center. Every neighborhood needs something you've heard your kids say, I'm bored. We need to have, we need to get people excited to get to this. And so basically, as a politician, you need to be a pretty darn good cheerleader. And that's what I liked about Reagan. I studied his voodoo economics back in the day, the trickle down, and, Biden's got trickle up, which I think is better if you want to get money into the economy, because who spends money better than poor people? So you give them the money, they spend it. You give it to the rich people, they hold on to it. It's a little
who hoards money the best, John?
Elon Musk or whoever's on the top. Yeah, I get it. And it is that is it. Ronald Reagan was a cheerleader. He was a patriot. He got everybody, he gave great speeches, told good jokes. He just made everybody feel good about what they're doing. And I really believe that people are so beat down right now with trying to make ends meet, and our cost of living is so high that we have got to figure out a way to get things more affordable. And we are leaving a lot of people behind.
I'm gonna hop right in on you, John, because I've been taken to task that I'm not running the show. And I've been letting the inmates run the asylum. So since you mentioned making things more affordable, how would you see your responsibility, and what steps would you take to end the Federal Reserve System and put money back in the hands of people under the authority of Congress, who has the responsibility to coin money and regulate the value thereof?
Now, that is a federal issue. Now, one of the things that I'm really, really, really concerned about is the security of our dollar. I don't know if anyone knows BRICS. That's out there. And if you're familiar with a little bit of recent history, in 2008, China and Russia tried to get this BRICS thing rolling back then, and they did not. They were unsuccessful in knocking the dollar off, but they're already starting to get the dollars, looking at maybe not be the petrodollar anymore. Saudi Arabia is looking at some things. So I'm really concerned with the security of our money. And what you say, Lucy, is what do I do about that? Well, people have to have something better to go to before you go to it. We have Bitcoin. I'm not really that sold on Bitcoin. I know you mine it. I understand it somewhat, but it is a non-metal backed up currency. Now, BRICS, I understand, is supposed to be backed up by metal. It's supposed to have some backing on it. It's catching some steam. I think another couple countries joined it, and we need to be careful. And part of making our dollar stronger is stopping this debt and just the reckless spending with all the way across the board. And both parties are responsible for this. So ending the Fed is not as easy as just turning a light switch off. But I do think
it's as easy as repealing the 13th Amendment.
But then what? What do we do? Everybody's going to have all this paper.
Well, it's super easy. First of all, we go back to the constitutional money. The Treasury, the printing part, the Bureau of Printing and Engraving can be directed to change a simple thing from Federal Reserve note at the top to United States note. This is why JFK was actually killed. The fact that he issued an order to create United States notes instead of Federal Reserve notes, and the fact that he ordered our troops out of Vietnam, and that was not going to be cool with Lyndon Johnson, who owned arms manufacturing.
Yeah.
So
well, you're trying to get me whacked now by doing this, so I'm going to have to refrain from the Federal Reserve thing.
No, you should be carrying every day and protecting yourself. Go to goldback.com. And I'll see if I can find mine. Do I have it anywhere here close? Yes, yes, I do.
Your gold back. I have one too. It's
GOLD.
It's real gold.
Yeah, now these are real gold. It's a really interesting technology where they aerosolize the gold and then they put it into a polymer. And the artwork is unbelievable. So they have different states. This is
and
one.
And they're different sizes too.
Yeah. And I don't know how to make sure that this gets seen.
There you go. That does it right there.
Yeah. So, and the reverse is also true. And there is a lady with a moral, I'm trying to think what the word is. I haven't been taking my lion's name. This lady is reverentia. So it is a moral virtue. It's a virtue. So there are ladies of virtue, and the different virtues are named. And this is a one goldback. Now, one goldback is 1/1000th of an ounce of gold. So it's 1/1000th of a troy ounce, 24 karat gold, which means it's worth about 5 ferns, FRNs, Federal Reserve notes. So this would be so merchants can take this. They can absolutely accept this.
I think in Dakota, South Dakota, and I think even in there's a few states that do it. I have one, and when I got it, it was only worth $3. So I've already made $2 on this deal. But you got to trade it.
$2.
I know, because of inflation.
You've only maintained your buying power.
Yeah, you're right. Well, thanks for reminding me of that. But honestly, we have built a huge economy with this fiat currency because there's no backing of it. I mean, there's not. It is basically on faith, and honestly, nothing better to go to there. Whereas I go back to my point of this BRICS being a threat to take us down. What's that?
Slick Witty put in there Anunnaki shekels. And if you guys don't know who the Anunnaki is, I don't have time to explain it. That's a rabbit hole in and of itself.
I'm going to get my tinfoil hat.
You know what? It's tinfoil hat time. I'm going to talk about the Anunnaki. Slick Witty's got it.
Well, I think some people have already made fun of me wearing a tinfoil hat. So be ready for those commercials to come out. And I look for the Democrats to come at me hard. And I'm just saying, bring it on. I had to sell my Prius with stickers on the back because everybody thought I was a Democrat. So, that's, but we do have a plug-in car still. So I didn't totally abandon it. It's a hybrid plug-in. It's nice. So
where's the banner?
Put the banner on there.
Theory time.
Hold on. You never asked me how the people could contact me or anything.
Oh shoot! Yes, let's do a plea for money first. Is there a way that we can?
This is my email address.
I love that.
Gmail. That you can do that. I'll leave that up there while we put the banner on the conspiracy theory. I'm not wearing my tinfoil hat because, and this is another thing before we get out of here. I'm going to be doing stuff like this, with people as far as interviews or whatever. And, we want our representative to look professional. And we've been practicing at this for quite a while. And, the earned media that I have with the WIBC folks, the Channel 40 folks, we have, I have a very good campaign team from our precinct committee man, adventure.
That's awesome.
That is really cool.
It is just sort of fallen into place with this situation.
Well, and Rob Kendall, is he going to have you on the Kendall and Casey and stuff?
He's actually, I was standing next to Rob Kendall at the convention when they announced, and that little feller, he's only about 5'5", but he jumped so high he could have dunked a basketball. And then he did like a spider monkey jump on Jay Hart. I mean, all up on him. I mean, it was unbelievable how happy he was. He was ecstatic.
If you're on, you'll get, he'll get another listener, and it'll be in the teens.
Hey, I tell you what, a lot of people listen to that show. You may not.
No, I know. I'm just messing.
But it's interesting because Rob has not been that fond of me, and now we're friends. So it's how this is working. The relationships that we build, and Tiffany knows about this. You just you keep going, and I live true to my word. I try to talk to everybody, and if anybody's familiar, and I know Tiffany, gives me the stink eye every time I talk about Cassie's name, but I'm able to talk to people that others are afraid to go talk to, and I think that's going to bode well.
Oh no,
Tiffany, give the stink.
Wait,
there it is.
Let's not pat yourself on the back too much. People aren't afraid to talk to her.
They're smart enough to not talk to her.
Not to talk to her.
Yeah, that's
word choice is everything. But Josh, you do, people know you, and I always tell you this. And I hope that you're starting to understand it, that you've created this show. It's very important. It's a political conversation that other people aren't having. If you look at our viewership while we're live, you may say, oh, it's a hobby, but a lot of people watch our show. A lot of people check in. I think it is a really good opportunity for people to message constituents, talk to voters, and let people see a different side of them. And John, I think that so often you undersell and under promote what you've created with the Mouthwash show. And I really, really think it's time for us to get some sponsors and have people share money so that you can take some of this financial burden off. And time is money. Your time is worth some green rectangles, depending on what you're going to do with it.
I want the gold backs. Well, thank you, Tiffany, for that. And you all have been great. We do this for the love of everything. But I do have some news, because when Jen Pace passed away, actually the Chateau de Mars Hill studio made it into the New York Post, and we got recognized as the photo in the Post. Honestly, this story it could get it got national attention. I mean, for instance, for heaven's sakes, somebody that passed away still won on the ballot. I mean, we really didn't even talk about that dynamic of things, of how people don't even believe in the system anymore so much that they're going to vote for somebody that's not here anymore. So
people like a little political chaos to see what can happen, because that's the power of the voters. It's like,
Tiffany, Indiana's bringing their A game.
What if we all vote for the dead person? Let's see what happens. I mean, if we, people think that their votes don't count. They think everything's rigged. I don't think the dead lady rigged that. So,
that's tough. Well,
yeah, I know. But so the voters have power. The power rests with the people. The power rests with the voters. That was a quote that I heard on Saturday from somebody who won. So,
oh yeah, I mean, it does. I mean, and we are, honestly, that helped someone like me, who is not an insider politician. It's somebody who's not a Trump person. His endorsement did not do the damage that they wanted it to do. And, in District 6, there's a lot of people, that'd be a single ticket item. If you support Trump, or if you're a Trump supporter or a MAGA or whatever, you might as well just go away. They'll probably do more than throw you out.
The conversation about Make America Great. It's like, are we great right now? Could we do better? Are we at fighting weight? If we take off her shirt, are you going to see America's abs?
No, you're going to see a dad bod.
You're
going to see a dad bod.
I've got a dad joke, and I'm going to say it instead of John. And that is, did you know that waffles are just pancakes with abs?
That's a
so
good
with
one.
that, who's going first on the conspiracy? I have to
Well,
go
I've got
last because
one.
I'm the show host.
I've got one. So I think that, John, you're saying that you're going to give the Dems a run for their money. I think that they've got this so wrapped up that they probably won't do anything.
Oh, I think I like that. Just let me go
Underestimate
do
your
my thing.
opponent.
You'll probably see 5-yard signs out. The ones
Oh,
that
no,
have
they
still,
all got yard
the
signs
ones
in
that
their
have still
garage
been
every
out for
year.
2 years, but I don't even think this will register for that engine. I
All right,
apologize.
all right.
I want you to win, but I don't think
Do
they'll
you
do
think
it.
he would debate, John?
No, there's no reason for him to do that. He's definitely not going to come on our show and say something wrong.
Listen, can
Because
we
No, I
all
can't
talk
even get him
about
to
that?
meet with
That's like
me.
something that everybody can agree on. The fact that like incumbents should have to debate, right? How is
Right,
this
no,
not?
yeah, absolutely. Now the question then
How is that
becomes,
not universal across party lines?
well, here's the next question. That next question is not just about debates, but who qualifies for the debate. Because currently Donald Rainwater is not qualified,
Yeah.
according to Fox
Yes.
59, to debate because he hasn't raised 100,000 yet, and he's getting very
Aren't-
close.
Isn't Fox the one that pulled the crap with Jamie and
Yeah.
Curtis Hill too?
Well, and there was a
Yes.
couple. Wish to.
And I talked to CJ, who's the news director at Fox, and he absolutely assured me that he's not having conversations with, anybody from the sales department that would maybe highlight the conflict of interest between paying advertisers and the kind of news that he runs. And he seemed very sincere. But the fact of the matter is that everybody listening, me, you, I've already donated, but everybody should go donate at rainwaterforindiana.com. Because if you want to have anybody that's going to stand up to the establishment on that Fox 59 debate and not just have it be, a brawn fest, and he's so darn boring. I am sorry. That man is so hard to listen to.
Do you want me to do my
without
Braun
falling asleep.
imitation?
Oh, that's a
Love
good
it,
one.
man.
And make
Yeah.
sure
That's
that
what
you
I
wear, a working man shirt so that you can relate to the people
Oh, I
whose
got some
income
real
is
working.
1.1%, to the third power of yours.
Well, I bought all these fancy new suits. Well, not all of them. 3 new suits like 2 months ago, thinking, I haven't had a new suit in so long, and then here we are. So,
Oh,
yeah,
anyway, Brad gets a conspiracy theory.
yeah, that's right. I could have one. I mean, 2.
Well, you
if they'll
could
let me.
if you could ruin
Wait,
your
no.
political career like
Is it my
everybody. Go
turn?
ahead, Brad.
Or
It's your turn,
okay.
Brad. Everybody else be quiet.
Oh wait, yeah. Wait, we have rules. I forgot. That's moderators. No, my conspiracy is gonna be about the Micah ticket. But I like it because it's like Micah, like it's their celebrity name, like Mike Braun's first name and then Micah's last name, or like the last part of Micah's first name. So it's the Micah ticket. I don't know how the hell that's gonna last until November, if I'm being honest. Like, I feel in August, Braun's gonna drop out, and somehow Micah's gonna Micah's gonna be the governor candidate by the time November rolls around.
Okay.
And Brad, what impact will that have on your life and your world?
I'm having a panic attack just saying that out loud. So
that's
I have 2 conspiracies, and I'm going to piggyback on Brad's with that. Everybody knows that mica is a mineral, and that is the mineral that, as a woman, we have put into our makeup to give us just a little bit of shimmer. So I want to know when Micah is going to put a little bit of shimmer into the lieutenant governor's race.
Yeah, that is
Indiana is the craziest freaking political place right now. Tiffany, when you were talking about that, I'm like, but like
Indiana,
we're pushing it.
Away. Indiana leads the way. So this is the thing that I think is so good is that like people want to say that people say, "Oh, I'm not going to vote. I'm not going to vote. My vote doesn't count. Everything's rigged.
Yeah.
Everything's rigged." But when you look at this lieutenant governor's race, I mean, it came down to very few votes, and you were able to see, wow, he won. He won by 61, 71 votes. 95 delegates did not show up.
Yeah.
So politics is math. And people need to vote. That's why the dead woman won. Because people are like, well, hey, if we put all our votes on the dead woman, let's see what happens. And so voters need to remember and realize that they have the power. Voters have the power. And the thing is that there just aren't big enough voting blocks. It's like, we talk about coalitions. If you want something to get done, talk to your friends, talk to your neighbors, talk to the people in your community. Grassroots is real. Yep. That's one thing we learned. grassroots is real.
Grassroots is real, but you know what? There's a real big difference between having a controlled paper ballot in an event center, like you guys just had with your convention, where the lots of eagle eyes looking at it. It's very difficult to pull shenanigans versus using the voting machines.
We had paper
And
ballots,
trucks of
voting
paper
machines.
ballots coming
I
out the
mean,
back door.
the thing is that like if you thought that the establishment had this locked up before the convention, people were like, whoa, they're going to scan my name, they're going to scan my credentials before I vote, they're tracking votes. I mean, there was a lot of apprehension going into the vote, and people were like, oh my God, what do we do? And they explained it to us. You put your paper ballot in the machine, and then you have to feed it into something else, and if you don't feed it in, then your vote will not be counted. And I mean, they had their checks.
There's so much anxiety to that.
But you know what? But Brad, this is the thing, is that the person that wasn't supposed to win won. So
I love that part of it.
It's not the system. The power is with the people. That's all I'm trying to say. The power is with the people.
Again, I don't think we understand fully.
Republican.
We do not understand fully. Like Micah beat a Trump endorsement. Like I told you guys,
that has nothing to do with anything.
That is awesome. I love that.
That was
come on.
The thing is that
Donald Trump got involved in the lieutenant governor race of Indiana.
But even at convention, Mike Ron said that he called Donald Trump and he asked him to endorse a candidate, and he said that's how you get things done. You make a phone call, and he has an open line with Donald Trump. The thing is that like
that doesn't scare you.
People voting against Julie McGuire was not saying that we don't like Trump and we're not going to support Trump. That had nothing to do with anything. The vote came down to what people thought about.
Why didn't Trump pick correctly?
They had data on Wednesday that showed that a third of the voters, a third of the delegates were undecided. And if after everybody put their 8 minutes on the stage, then people were able to make a choice. So there were a lot of different factors that went into that vote. And Trump's endorsement, in my mind, was a very, very small piece of it.
But
because
everybody
in that room knows that Donald Trump is our candidate for president. Everybody knows that.
And that is his endorsement.
But that's the thing, is that like it comes in at the last minute, and it does not negate all of the work. It does not negate all of the work. So voting for Trump's endorsement doesn't mean that people have to do something. The power is with the voters. I mean, that's what I hope. That's what I want you to see, Brad, is that an endorsement doesn't matter. 2 or 3 voting machines doesn't matter. The power's with the voters, and the voters showed what they wanted. And the Trump endorsement had very, very little to do with that race.
Michael worked his ass
now we
off
move to John. John, do you have a
I got
When Trump meets Micah, Trump is going to like Micah.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. Like, what was wrong with
what he's
Trump?
scared
Why
of.
wouldn't Trump pick Micah?
Just like you
Why
love
wouldn't Trump pick Micah?
Well, so this is what I'm going to say about this. Our country's divided, and one of my goals is going to be for unity. And you could say that and all that, but you know what? I'm tired of everybody fighting. Why don't we start working together? I'm not going to go out to DC and fight people. I'm going to go out and work with them. And that's where I see us falling down. And that's where that dribbles all the way down to our kids bullying each other, because they see what our congressmen and our senators and our politicians do to each other on the daily. We have got to put people with integrity that are not going to waver from their values. I'm old enough now. I've seen enough stuff. I'm not easily tempted, other than those little Werther candies. Those, you could get anything out of me for one of those Werther candies, but I'm not easily tempted to go off the path of what the mission is. And the mission is going to be to serve the people of the 7th district, and all of them, not just the ones that I like or the ones that are in this party or that party, but all of them. In fact, I'll probably bend over more to serve the people that they think I wouldn't serve. So that's what I'm going to say. But all that to be said, I'm going to use the magic 8 ball, and I'm going to use it for a question here. Do you think the swamp will get Micah, or will Micah get the swamp? So yes would be Micah will get the swamp, and no will be the swamp will get Micah. Let's see what it says. Without a doubt. So that means yes, right? So Micah's going to get the swamp. He's going to beat the swamp. So I'm going to write that down. I don't know how long that's going to have to percolate, but Micah beats the swamp on this date. This is
date that, John.
6/18/24.
Ask them if Brad's going to fall in the swamp too. Ask the Magic 8-Ball.
Okay, if Brad's going to get in this swamp, I mean, he's got the glasses for it.
Or is Brad going to move?
Oh,
I'm going to get my own swamp with a different rock.
well, let's let Brad ask
Different
the question.
boulder.
Brad, what's the question? And we'll do this for this Magic 8-Ball. What's your question concerning Micah Braun or anything?
Let's do this. Will the White Sox win the World Series before Indiana gets a Democratic governor?
Oh my gosh! How long do you think this show is going to go on?
Well, no, just ask the 8-Ball.
We had O'Bannon and we had many Democratic governors in my life.
Yeah, the question is the White Sox going to win the
World Series
before we have a Democrat governor? Ooh, that's interesting. Yeah. So yes, it will be the White Sox win. No, will be the other way. So let's see.
Yeah.
Ask again later. Okay, let's. Okay, let's go.
John, have you done a conspiracy theory yet?
This is mine.
Or do you want to even do one?
Oh yeah, Lucy, you're running the show.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't remember.
I'm asking now. The answer is yes. So the White Sox will win before we.
So we'll make that the conspiracy
sort of
theory.
How I feel about that.
10:25. I'm shutting this thing down in 4.5 minutes, and I'm going to talk for 4 minutes and 34 seconds. So we'll see how that works out.
John knows how to donate to his campaign also. So.
Oh yeah. Go ahead, and make your plea.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously it's going to take a lot of cash. I think that, the way we get this going is we get some excitement for this race, that maybe some national people think, hey, this character's got a chance to take out Andre Carson. Let's put some money involved. And the people I've talked to before, they say, I don't like Andre Carson. Where do I donate? So basically what I have set up right now is just my website or just my email address. So if you would like to do that, I'm going to put that up. You can send me that information. And I officially don't have my account set up because I just have that check. I got that check, and it's so.
You don't have WinRed? There's no.
Okay, I'm going to put you on the spot, John. A lot of people run for political office in order to raise funds, because then after they lose, they convert those funds for their personal use somehow.
Oh.
Can you pledge that any funds raised, and then the eventual result is you don't win or don't get the nomination or whatever, that you will plow those funds back for the good of the community?
That I will pledge that, just as the law says, if I have stuff left over, I either give it to another candidate or to a nonprofit. And honestly, folks, I'd rather you give it to a nonprofit. I know that's not helping my campaign, but giving money to politicians is, you really better believe in it to do it. But I don't want to get presumptuous and think that I have won this caucus yet. So I will be Monday, if things work out, I will be Monday setting up my account and putting some money in. And we are going to, I'll tell you what, I'm going to give this a lot. I think that I'm serious. I'm usually a little less serious on the show, serious. But
you put on a shirt and a tie.
I know it. I was like, well, you guys are special.
That's serious.
So yeah,
we all support you.
You got to look the part, if you want to,
and we will walk for you. We will take up JJ's challenge, and we will leave Fishers and the former Fishers, now cornfield dweller myself. I will walk the district for you.
Wow.
And I will make all my libertarian friends mad, but I don't care. I'll do it anyway.
I appreciate you guys, even, sincerely, you guys come on every.
John can come walk with us too.
Yeah. Oh, John Rust. He's awesome, man. I got to call him. I had a chicken that's sick, and
let's have a cookout. Let's have a campaign cookout at your house and go walk.
Yeah, well, exactly.
Well, we're looking at that for 4th of July. 4th of July, regardless, we're going to do that. So, but we're going to set some stuff up. I mean, I have a lot of connections that I think people are going to be surprised at. We'll be able to pull out on this, and I really am excited about this for the opportunity, and hopefully everything's come out from. comes out well on Saturday. I think we have a good presentation, and I think we've recruited quite a few of the precinct committee people that are involved in this, so that helps to have the vote.
All right, I have still not done my conspiracy theory.
Okay,
So
okay.
So I'm going to go ahead and go there because everybody, well, Spiro has said he wanted to hear it. Okay, so if you have no idea what I'm about to talk about, and most of you won't, then go on YouTube, find some videos by a guy by the name of Billy Carson. He has 4, the number 4, numeral 4, Bidden Knowledge .tv or something like that. Anyway, this goes back to ancient aliens, ancient history, way, 20, 30, 40,000 years BC. And a lot of people believe that the story of Adam and Eve is actually a story of aliens in a city of Atlantis who came upon. Now, there's various differences in this story, so I'm just going to put some of it out there. This is not exactly what I believe, so it is for entertainment purposes only. And so the aliens had some internal strife. They came here, there's gold, there's water, these are rare in the universe. And so they used their lower class people to be the workers in the mines. And they're ancient gold mines in Africa, predating, early hominid history. A lot of people believe that those lower class aliens got tired, quite frankly, of doing the scut work, and they saw the race that was here. And so, there's no evolution or missing link because there was no natural progression of evolution from, pre-Cro-Magnon man or whatever to, hominid, hominis, whatever we are called. Anywho, I love how scientific I'm not. Anywho, a lot of people believe that that the hominids at the time were genetically modified, that their DNA was changed, and that a couple of things were done. One, there are a lot of people that believe that a God gene was inserted into the DNA so that they would have a proclivity to worshiping, right? So now they see these aliens, and many people refer to them as the Anunnaki, that these aliens are now gods to be worshipped. And so a lot of people believe that there were ancient aliens by the name of Enlil and Thoth and other characters who had wars in the heaven. If you read the Bhagavad Gita, it seems like they're actually describing nuclear war. There are archaeological sites in this globe that appear to have been molten glass and people preserved. I mean, I can start putting links, but if you go watch Billy Carson on YouTube, you'll get most of it. So then the question becomes for those people who, have traditional Christian beliefs, as I was brought up in a mostly Christian home. I was brought up Mormon, which is kind of weird. But, that aside, who is Jesus? Is he real?
I
Was he
see.
just an alien? Was he just an alien? Was Jesus actually a retelling of Thoth? Is the movie Venus Rising with Ashton Kutcher's wife Mila Kunis, was that actually a retelling when she finds out that her mother or something, some relative of hers that's an alien? If you guys haven't seen the movie, it's kind of confusing. But they go down into this crystalline bath of this crystal clear fluid substance, and their bodies are renewed and rejuvenated. So although they're 4,000 years old, they
I
look like
want
they're
that. Where can we
25.
go to get that?
Well, in the movie Venus Rising, it's taken
Cocoon,
from
yeah.
live humans.
Okay, you're
but
going to put all this in the chat here, aren't you? After you've spouted out all these
Mercury
links,
Rising, yes. Jordan
all
says
these
Mercury
links and
Rising. I thought
everything,
it was
you're going to
Jupiter
put
Rising.
those in there.
Yeah.
So-
Anyway, it's a pretty entertaining story. So, I'm just putting that out there for you because a lot of people don't know who Elohim is or who Yahweh is, and there's a lot of conflict in the Old Testament about who he is, and that, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot. Lucy, all this stuff that you've read, and you need to make up your own story. I mean,
I need to start my own religion so I can get rich. I mean, that's what L. Ron Hubbard did. Now he's got a whole bunch of idiots giving him money.
Well, there you go. I mean, you could make up something. I'm sure that somebody would believe. I hope you can sleep at night with that money. But hey, go ahead. If it's how do those guys sleep? Probably.
And I could write horrible science fiction and get it made into movies.
Yeah, yeah. I'm saying you have a talent there with this conspiracy theory thing. You really
yes,
the whole
Lucy.
thing.
I could listen again. I could listen to this.
Aw, thank you.
Speak on this.
It's like
go watch some Billy Carson videos, and we can talk off
agree,
screen.
but it's just like the different viewpoints, because nobody knows. It could be anything at all.
Yep. All right, we ready to wind this up? I mean, I know you guys love being in
I
charge.
think it's time to call it. It's like, when somebody comes into the ER and it's time.
Yeah,
It's
time to call this
10:33.
patient. You
33
guys.
is the Illuminati number. It's time to call it, guys.
So anybody watches this, they can tell you guys didn't throw the softballs. Next week we have Joseph Borka coming on, because at said convention there was some rules changing excitement, and there was all sorts of things that the party was asked to do, and Joseph was quite the star behind the scenes. So
I just cut a video of him from last week, because I was laughing about when I said that was a great thing for Pride Month. So I clipped that video and I put Joseph Borka's message for Pride Month on it. So go to Twitter and
always wanting to expand our audience. That's always, you can never have too many friends.
Nice words.
So. Yeah. All right. I guess let me take off the banner here, and we'll see you next Tuesday, and
next week.
Hopefully things work out, and we'll talk about it a little bit. I'll be either bring me some tissues or some champagne, one of the two. So
you got it.
I hope it's champagne.
Done.
All right.
I don't drink, and I'll even drink champagne with you.
All right. Hey, now that's something to see. Vote for me just to see Lucy do the champagne. That's awesome. All right, everybody. Thanks for watching. And you guys, thanks again for doing this. Appreciate it.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks for putting up with me tonight.
Great job, Lucy.
Yeah!